For the party's first session, they raid a goblin camp in order to protect the local village. Soon, they fight the camp's leader, a disheveled and disgraced-looking hobgoblin who nonetheless has a pristine blade. This hobgoblin shows bravery in the face of defeat, fighting to the last even as its goblin minions flee. It refuses to surrender, claiming it would never dishonor its warband again. After the party slays it, the village is safe and the party gets the hobgoblin's magic longsword as a reward. Maybe it's a +1 sword, maybe it deals 1d4 cold damage, doesn't really matter. Just make sure it's minor and has an effect on combat. Fast forward a few sessions where the party levels up, befriends some NPCs, and get to be known around town. That's when hobgoblins attack the village directly. The party fights off a wave of goblin wolf riders, they get ambushed by bugbears, and they even fight alongside both the town guard and other adventuring parties against a platoon of hobgoblins. Bonus points if they're mounted archers riding wargs. But after a full session of desperately fighting off this siege, a CR3 hobgoblin captain attacks the party directly. The party's only 2nd or 3rd level at this point, and they presumably have exhausted all their spells and abilities. So the hobgoblin captain, its pet ape, because apparently hobgoblins are known to sometimes use carnivorous war apes, and its bugbear bodyguard wreck the party's shop. But the captain doesn't kill them. The captain knocks out most of the party and says to whoever's left awake, "My kin died honorably at your hand, and for that, I thank you. For erasing the disgrace they have brought upon us, I will let you live this once. But next time I face you on the glorious field of combat, know that my revenge shall be cold and swift as the tempest wind." The captain picks up the magic sword the party won from the dead hobgoblin way back in session 1, then falls back with the remainder of its army. The party then recovers, regroups with the rest of the defenders of the village, and has to plan for what comes next. They lost the cool magic sword they got, they failed to repel the hobgoblin invasion effectively, and they got direct confirmation that the captain who just beat them to a pulp is going to come back for revenge. Suddenly, you have a narratively interesting villain who any party that's half engaged in the game is going to be invested in. This is a villain that not only has a clear motivation in that they want revenge for the party slaying their kin, who not only has a demonstration of power in that they beat the party in a fight and even their minions are tough to beat, but who also stole the party's cool sword. And when the party inevitably fights the captain after gaining a couple more levels, the captain's going to use their cool sword against them. That's why it has a mechanical impact on combat. Yes, the sword was the hobgoblins first, so it really belongs to the captain and the warband as a whole, but that's not how the party will see it. They'll see it as their property, not to mention the party's first magic item. Now, not only was it stolen from them, it will also be used against them. And to really rub it in, have the captain upgrade it. It's a +1 sword that also deals cold damage instead of one or the other. This can be permanent or simply by virtue of being in its rightful owner's hands. That's really up to you based on when the captain gets defeated and they get their sword back. Side note, I'd say whatever the sword does mechanically should be reflected in the captain's personality and the warband's aesthetic. If it deals cold damage, have them dressed in heavy furs and the captain's cold and stoic. If it deals fire damage, have them dressed in shawls and maybe the captain's got a temper. Just make that little monologue before picking up the sword when sparing the party reflect this. So it could be, "Know that my revenge shall strike you faster than any storm," if it deals lightning damage. That's it. I just wanted to go over an example of setting up a villain for the party to care about. I'd recommend adding some personality to the hobgoblin from the first session, and the captain's bugbear bodyguard, maybe even the captain's pet ape. Just because every character is more interesting when you have more characters they can relate to, but none of that's necessary for this. Have the disgraced hobgoblin from session 1 have the single personality trait of honorable or brave. Have the bugbear guard be grumbling or lazy, and that'll work fine enough for most groups. But the more you go into the captain's relationship map, and the more complex and developed the villain's ties are to other NPCs and other villains, that's not only more narratively interesting, but it also opens up more opportunities for the party to attack from. If the bugbear bodyguard is a reluctant follower who hates the captain as a person, but is loyal out of a sense of obligation to the warband, that's a betrayal in the making. And the party should be able to exploit that. Don't be afraid to make your villains like you would your NPCs. Your players are going to kill them either way, I'm sure. And did I forget to mention that the hobgoblin captain also has friends outside of the warband? Yeah, the party just slayed them and oh, yep, that's a frost giant in the distance. Or maybe it's a fire giant if the sword was fire themed. Have fun.